Lewis Hamilton's journey with Ferrari in 2025 has been one of the biggest talking points in the Formula One world this season. After more than a decade at Mercedes, where he built a legacy that included 7 world championships, countless victories, and a legendary partnership with the Silver Arrows, Hamilton shocked the world by making the switch to Ferrari. It was a move filled with emotion, symbolism, and massive expectations. But with big change comes uncertainty, and Hamilton's first few races in red have been anything but smooth. While fans and pundits have been quick to judge the early results, one voice from within the paddock has come forward with calm, measured confidence. That voice is none other than George Russell, Hamilton's former teammate, and now the new face of Mercedes. Russell, who shared the garage with Lewis for several seasons and understands his mentality better than most, believes that despite the rocky start, Hamilton will rise again. In his words, "We'll see more of that magic," and that simple statement has sparked a wave of optimism among those still rooting for Hamilton's success. To understand where this story begins, we need to go back to the start of 2025. Hamilton made headlines when he announced his decision to leave Mercedes, the team where he became a household name, and joined Ferrari, a team that has long carried the weight of history, passion, and expectation. It was a bold decision. Ferrari hadn't won a championship in over a decade, and their recent track record had been inconsistent at best. But Hamilton saw potential. He saw a project he could be a part of, a challenge he could conquer, and maybe, just maybe, a way to end his career on the highest possible note, with a championship in red. But even for a driver of Hamilton's caliber, adapting to a new team isn't easy. Formula One is as much about machinery and engineering as it is about raw talent. A driver can only perform at their peak when the car is working with them, not against them. And in the case of the SF25, the car Ferrari designed for the 2025 season, there have been growing pains. The season started with a mix of promise and problems. In China, Hamilton delivered a sensational performance in the sprint weekend. He took pole for the sprint race and dominated from start to finish, showing the world that the old magic hadn't disappeared. That race gave fans a glimpse of what could be possible if Hamilton and Ferrari find the right formula. But outside of that, there have been struggles. In Bahrain, Hamilton qualified poorly and couldn't climb far enough through the field to make a real impact. After the session, he issued a public apology to the Ferrari team, a rare and emotional moment from someone who usually keeps his feelings under control. It's clear that Hamilton is feeling the weight of expectation, not just from the team or the fans, but from within himself. He knows what it means to drive for Ferrari. He knows the legacy he's trying to live up to. And he's not satisfied with just being okay. He wants to be great. He wants to win. And he's willing to work through the pain and frustration to get there. That's where George Russell comes in. As someone who's watched Hamilton up close, who's battled him on track, and who's learned from him behind the scenes, Russell has a unique perspective. He knows that Hamilton is not someone who fades quietly into the background. He's a fighter. And more importantly, he's someone who thrives when the odds are stacked against him. When asked about Hamilton's early struggles at Ferrari, Russell didn't criticize. He didn't speculate. Instead, he reminded everyone of what Hamilton is capable of. "He's the second most experienced guy on the grid after Fernando Alonso," Russell said. "A 7-time world champion and an incredible individual and competitor. We all saw it in China. He grabbed pole and dominated the sprint. I know exactly what Lewis can do. Once everything starts to gel, we'll see more of those magical performances." That kind of endorsement means something. Russell is currently leading the Mercedes charge, sitting 4th in the driver standings, just 14 points behind Lando Norris. He's in the fight, and yet he still took the time to show respect and support for his former teammate. It speaks volumes about the character of both drivers. Meanwhile, Hamilton finds himself in 7th place in the standings, behind his current teammate Charles Leclerc, who's been the more consistent performer in qualifying and race pace so far. It's been a tough pill to swallow for Hamilton, but it's also been a wake-up call. He's learning to adapt, and Ferrari is learning how to give him what he needs. What's often overlooked is just how complex that adaptation process really is. Moving from one top team to another isn't just a change in uniform. It's a change in philosophy, in driving tools, in team communication, in car behavior, and even in the smallest technical details. For example, Hamilton has had to adapt to Brembo braking systems after spending years with Mercedes Carbon Industries brakes. That might sound like a minor thing, but in a sport where a fraction of a second matters, those changes can completely alter how a driver feels behind the wheel. Russell knows this. He understands the learning curve. That's why he's so confident that once Hamilton gets past this adjustment period, the results will start to show. The fact that Hamilton has already begun to make progress, changing his braking points, adjusting to new engine braking systems, and modifying his approach to racecraft within the Ferrari environment, shows that he's not just sitting back and waiting. He's putting in the work. And perhaps most importantly, Ferrari is responding. This isn't a one-sided effort. Team principal Fred Vasseur has made it clear that the car will evolve to suit Hamilton's style, just as Hamilton will adapt to the car. That two-way street is vital. And it's something Ferrari has sometimes struggled with in the past when managing two strong drivers. So what does this all mean moving forward? It means that the story of Hamilton at Ferrari is still being written, and we're only in the opening chapters. The early bumps in the road may be frustrating, but they're not defining. In fact, they may be necessary, because sometimes greatness comes not from immediate success, but from how someone overcomes adversity. And if there's one thing Hamilton has proven over and over again in his career, it's that he knows how to rise. Russell's words are not just empty praise. They're a reminder to fans, to critics, and to the entire grid that Lewis Hamilton is not done, not even close. There is still fire in him. There is still magic, and we may be on the brink of seeing that magic return, only this time, draped in Ferrari red. Let me continue with the rest of the script in the next messages. Left off. It's important to remember that even legendary drivers have gone through periods of transition. Michael Schumacher, for example, didn't win right away when he returned to Ferrari in the 1990s. It took time, it took persistence, and it took building the right team around him. And when it all finally came together, it resulted in one of the most dominant eras the sport has ever seen. Hamilton knows this history well. It's part of why he took the risk. He didn't just join Ferrari for a quick win. He came to build something special. In many ways, Hamilton's move to Ferrari is a test of his legacy. He's already proven himself at McLaren and Mercedes. He's broken records, earned pole positions, won championships. But winning with Ferrari? That's different. That's mythical. That's the stuff of racing legend. It's why so many fans have wanted to see this pairing for years. Because the thought of one of the sport's greatest talents racing and winning for its most iconic team is the kind of storyline you only see once in a generation. And despite the tough start, that dream is still alive. Charles Leclerc's strong early form has also played a role in the narrative. As the hometown hero for Ferrari, Leclerc has grown into a mature and consistent driver. He knows the car, knows the team, and has the full support of the Tifosi. For Hamilton, going up against such a strong teammate adds another layer of difficulty. But it also raises the level of performance. Great drivers thrive on competition, and there's no doubt that Hamilton is using Leclerc's pace as motivation to push even harder. In public, Hamilton has remained composed. He hasn't blamed the team. He hasn't pointed fingers. Instead, he's shown humility, owning up to his mistakes, being transparent about his struggles, and thanking the team for their support. That kind of leadership is invaluable. It sets the tone in the garage. It shows the young engineers and mechanics that their new star driver is not here to play the blame game. He's here to work. George Russell, meanwhile, is beginning his own chapter at Mercedes. With Hamilton gone, he has stepped up as the team's primary driver, and he's doing an excellent job. Sitting fourth in the championship, Russell has shown consistency, speed, and maturity. His battle with Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, and the rising McLaren team has created a fascinating dynamic at the front of the grid. But even while chasing his own success, Russell hasn't forgotten his former teammate. His recent comments weren't just respectful, they were hopeful. He's cheering for Hamilton even from the other side of the paddock. That kind of